Lovely. My name is Darlene with Featherweight Doctor. This is Quilt Camp Day 2, and I'm about to do a quilting demonstration for all my friends. So I'm doing it on Morticia. Morticia is a 1941 black side, and she all to answer your questions, why she's so quiet. All featherweights have their own personalities. Some of them are quieter than others, some of them are faster than others. You can sit in front of 10 different featherweights and have a totally different sewing experience every time. So when people are looking to purchase their featherweights, I always make sure I find out how they're going to use them, what kind of projects they're going to use them for, and I try to tailor finding the right machine. It's kind of something I take a lot of pride in, actually, is finding the right machine, pairing the right machine to the right owner. So this one, her personality is whisper quiet, and she also is wicked fast. So she's actually one of my favorite machines to stitch with of my collection. So anyway, today I thought we would talk a little bit about different quilting feet. These machines are vintage machines. They are made in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, before quilting was done with anything more than just your hands. And so they have made modern quilting accessories to go with them. So you have the 1/4-inch foot, with or without the guide. You have a darning foot, which is the one I have on here. And then there are walking feet. These are obviously not vintage Singer parts. So they are modern. They're not collectible. There are rare collectible Singer featherweight feet, but these are affordable for every featherweight owner. So a lot of people don't realize, because the featherweights are their main piecing machines, that you can do machine quilting on them. You're obviously limited by the spatial, the 4.5-inch neck constraints, the spatial constraints, but you can do it. And I really like to do quilt as you go projects because I can work on one block at a time. So I thought I would do kind of a demo on the setup of the free motion. Obviously a walking foot is for straight quilting. A darning foot is for free motion quilting. The setup will involve blue painter's tape. This is my favorite Notion from the big box stores. Any painter's tape will do. You just need a smidge. And what you do is you pull out your bobbin casing, like so. And then I'm going to put this blue piece of painter's tape right over my feed dogs. And I am going to not run my blue painter's tape over gold foil, or try to avoid keeping it off of the clear coat, because if my clear coat is compromised, it will pull foil. It might even pull clear coat. So I keep it on my chrome throat plate. And then I set my stitch length regulator. So the lever on the front of your machine, down is forward, up is reverse. Find dead horizon, it's the middle. And what that does is your feed dogs are just going up and down. They're not pushing forwards or backwards, so then my tape stays in place. So I just rolled my hand wheel forward to grab my bobbin thread. And I have a practice sandwich here. Thanks, Bet. You're welcome. Bet came with a sandwich. I didn't even have to make one. So what you do, now again, this is free motion quilting. I'm going to follow my little drawn feather here. Thanks, Maren, for being my camera holder.
I'll give you the good angles.
I like to bring my threads up to the top of my project before I start quilting. That's so that I have a hold of the thread so they don't suck down and make an ugly little rat's nest underneath. Press your foot down, down, up, and then I'm going to grab my
Bobbin thread.
Bobbin thread. Thank you, girl. We had a late night here at Quilt Camp. I'm a little more tired than normal.
4 of us were up here until like midnight.
Yeah. So I'd like to make a series of little baby stitches initially as locking stitches. There's several schools of thought with machine quilting on the modern domestic sewing machine as well as these. My favorite one is to do the little baby stitches, because if you've ever tried to pick out little baby stitches, then you know that they're not easy to get out. It also alleviates the step of having to knot and bury later on. So I'm going to secure my threads up on the top of the machine, and I'm just going to kind of gun the machine and barely move my hands.
Do you have to secure the bobbin thread?
The
level.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thanks,
level.
Becky. I
Oh.
appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Where is the level? Oh, right about
Dead
there for your
horizon,
machine.
just right in the middle.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna kind of gun my featherweight. One of the things you kind of have to get in the habit of doing, because in a modern machine, when you take your foot off the gas pedal, it stops the needle up or it stops the needle down, however you direct it. A featherweight will just roll to stop wherever it pleases. And so you have to get in the habit of not moving your left hand until you can reach over and grab your right hand and roll the hand wheel down, so that when you take your hand off the project doesn't go sliding out. It's just a little. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to follow this feather. Now, notice I ran out of room for my hands, and I stopped the machine, needle down, before I moved my hands, because again, I don't want the project to slide around. And one of the tips I like to give people is to try and only stop it on an inside corner or a point where you would have a natural change in direction anyway. That way, if you can't pick it right back up again, it's not, oh, I broke my thread. Okay.
Are you moving too fast? Is that?
Sometimes
Okay.
it just depends on the direction you're moving in. Sometimes the machines work better like moving towards you and to the right versus away from you and to the left.
Okay.
I think that's what happened. And
I
I might
did that on purpose to show us how you go back and
Happy mistakes.
I've got
Do you
some.
need a Band-Aid?
no, okay, we're not bleeding.
Band-Aid number 3 for this weekend?
Everybody brings Band-Aids when they come to quilt camp with me.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you we all have them.
We all have those moments. It's
We all
very
have
true.
Band-Aids.
Yes. Well, yeah. We're quilters. It's occupational hazard.
so we have to go 0 days without a
And it
Do you make this bracelet there too?
we do.
Oh,
Yep,
I
we carry
love
those
that.
on the website.
We should have brought. Okay.
They're over at the store.
That should have been on the quilt tab.
Okay.
Do you use a certain size needle?
Yes, 7511s for quilting. The machines prefer a 50 weight cotton thread. So I do like Aurifil. I use Aurifil with a thread stand when I'm machine quilting, especially because it provides an even feeding of thread off of the spool, and it doesn't put that additional twist in it where it would if it was riding on top of the machine. So I almost always use a peripheral thread stands. I do not like the ones that go into the oil hole on the top of the featherweight, because I have found over the years in hundreds of machines, not all oil holes are the same diameter, and some of them stick in and some of them don't. So this one works every time, and I can switch it between my modern machine and my featherweight. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you that was free motion is the walking foot. So all walking feet are not, all universal low shank walking feet are not going to be the best for the featherweight. I went through 5 different feet before I found this one. The trick was finding the one that sat at the right depth when the presser foot was lowered, that it didn't pinch the fabric into the neck of the machine. You do have an adjustment in the form of this knob right here as your presser foot pressure, it's really hard to say actually, adjustment where you can lefty loosey it and then it doesn't pinch down so fast or so tightly. If you're piecing something and there kind of looks like there's a gather to it, it probably is, this is too tight. And also when you're setting up the free motion, your free motion with your darning foot, it is not uncommon to have to lower this or tighten it down when you're doing it. This one works right out of the gate, but sometimes you have to lower this almost to the machine actually. Okay. So this loads on from the back. The little alligator mouth goes up over the needle bar, and then you screw it down. Okay, so when you are stitching in the ditch, or when you're straight line quilting, you do the same type of procedure, but all of a sudden, you're not the human stitch regulator anymore because we have uncovered the feed dogs. So the feed dogs are exposed when you're using the walking foot. And it's the same Hover Pierce.
Did you
Who's
take
back there?
Did you take the tape off?
I did.
Okay. I didn't even realize you did.
What about the stitch length? Same?
I put my stitch length back to so I moved it out of Dead Horizon and I popped it back down to the 10 to 11
Okay.
stitches per inch. So now the walking foot and the machine are doing the work of making the consistent cohesive stitches. You are not manhandling the fabric through the neck of the machine. So for those of you who snap a lot of needles, you're manhandling the fabric. You are not letting the machine take the fabric as it wants. You are trying to push the fabric through the machine, and that bends the needle and then eventually snaps the needle. So once I have done my needle up down feature to get my threads up, again, I always secure them with my fingers before I start. Thanks, Kathleen. Oh, I am bleeding. Okay.
Oh no.
That's okay. No big deal.
Matches your toenail polish.
Right. I did that on purpose. So
Yeah,
to
it's for
make-
the look.
That's right. The little locking stitches, I'm going to do the little baby stitches. Now, because the feed dogs are exposed, I need to make little baby stitches. So I'm going to move my lever up, not Dead Horizon, so it's making stitches right on top of itself, but just little baby stitches. And I'm going to give myself about 1/4 of an inch of little baby stitches, and then I'm going to go down to my regular quilted stitch length.
How do you make the baby stitches again?
Okay, so your stitch regulator on the featherweight
Yeah.
has the
Yeah.
lever on it.
Yeah.
So the numbers on there are corresponding to stitches per inch, but none of the machines, because of their extended age.
Oh look, we got both the twins. Hey.
But none of the machines are set to factory settings anymore because they've been through many technicians and many owners over the years. So assume for a minute that this regulator, these numbers don't mean anything anymore. So there's a calibration test that I've done on some previous videos to help you set the set screw, which is that little thing that screws down and up on the actual lever, to the 10 to 11 stitches per inch, which is the quilting industry standard. Very different than like sewing a garment together. They have a totally different stitch length in terms of stitches per inch.
Are you getting her a Band-Aid?
So once I do, so to make the baby stitches, Linda, I'm going to come just below horizon. Oh, it's okay.
On her toe.
It's
Below
right.
horizon.
Oh
Okay.
You don't need a Band-Aid for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
So just below horizon, and then that will just make a little tiny stitch, not no stitch stitching right in place. So once I make my baby stitches, about 1/4 of an inch of them, then I change to my quilted stitch length. Now, with the quilting, as you approach, like let's just say for a second I was going to change direction and these are drawn lines, but let's pretend they're seams. So as I approach a turn, I'm going to take my foot off of the pedal and I'm going to hand roll the machine to the point that I want to turn. Because how many times have we shot right past where we wanted to actually turn? So by hand rolling it, the machine doesn't get away from me. I can stop it exactly where I want. Now remember though, ladies, featherweight enthusiasts, we never roll the hand wheel backwards because that's how you wrap thread behind the assembly and cause a thread jam.
And how do we all know?
Oh, I'm just.
Because we've all done it.
I've done it on stage in front of 75 people before.
Oh no.
Andy's like off stage, give me the machine. So, you can, just so you know, if you did need to back up, you shot past something, resist the temptation to just roll the hand wheel
Which
back.
is what I do every time.
But if you put your machine in reverse and then roll the hand wheel forward, the machine will back.
Oh, God.
Say that again.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Here, let me
So-
come around so I can.
If you are trying to stop at a point and you didn't do the slow hand wheel roll to the point, but you actually skipped right past it, what you can do if you need to back the machine up, you don't roll the hand wheel backwards. You put the machine into reverse, then you roll the machine forward, but the machine backs.
Okay.
Hit your point, put it back and forward. Go.
Oh, thank you.
You also can just pick your presser foot up, roll your thing back up, scooch. You might have a long stitch, but you can do that too. Okay? All right, so there is one other machine quilting foot that I don't have with me, and it's rather new. Westerly is a company out of Australia that made the ruler foot for the domestic home sewing machines. I love Westerly. I was an instructor with them, but their whole setup is about $75 up front for one template and one foot. I have found a foot that is not a Westerly foot that we sell for about 25. Oh gosh, I love you right now. 25, just this very second.
Just right now.
It's okay, I love you too.
So we do carry the ruler foot for the featherweight. It's a universal low shank, but again, not all of them are created equal. This was the third try to find one that would work on our machines. And then we just ordered them this morning, but we're out right now. We carry the 2x8 Quilter Select ruler that has the thicker template edge. So this loads on, and then you use it. Well, let's just do it. How about that? We'll just do it.
Do it. Show us.
Here, you want to show the foot real quick?
We want to learn.
Yep, and it even has a slit in it, so you don't have to.
Cut your thread.
Awesome.
This ruler is kind of cool for a couple reasons, but the main one is the bottom of it has the non-skid on it, because when you're in here and you're rolling things around, it's really nice that this doesn't slide out. Where it lays is where it stays. The other thing that's cool.
I think she practiced that.
I didn't. I told that was on the fly.
That's pretty good.
I know.
Okay.
So the other thing that's cool about this foot is that where the needle is in the center to the outside diameter where you would be stitching is exactly 1/4 of an inch. So let's just say for a second, you are trying to echo quilt this line. This ruler would, at 1/4 of an inch out, would put the stitch line right on the seam. And there are markers, they're little 1/4 inch indicators on the ruler. It's pretty cool. Okay, let me set this back up for free motion. The tricky part
Your
about
Band-Aid
this
from yesterday.
quilting foot is finding the right pitch. So you see how there's a adjustment guide on here that's about 1/4 of an inch long? There is a bit of a sweet spot in finding where the presser foot sits on the shaft, where it will actually form stitches. So you might need to play with it a little bit. My only encouragement is it's lower than you think it is.
I love your plate.
Oh, Morticia's plate.
Yeah.
I got this last week. I had a gal in the shop and she brought a service machine in, and I pull it out and I'm like, oh, she goes, what? What's wrong with the machine? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think you have a black side. She goes, what's a black side? She had no idea it was her mom's machine.
Oh, goodness.
I got to tell her that.
Aww.
Oh,
Trying to steal the tape.
I love when that happens. I told her how valuable it was and how she really needed to, keep it in the family and find someone who would appreciate it down the road, because it was a pretty special gal. You should have seen the look on her face. She was like,
Was it like Antiques Roadshow?
yeah, she literally, she was just
You
like,
hit the jackpot.
when's
In our
her?
house, we see stuff like that and go,
Sold.
When's
What Sandy were you?
Can we just talk about how not only do we have a live going that's going to be here, we all have videos of this?
Sandy, were you in that class with me where that lady, I was on a Zoom class and this lady, so I'm adjusting my pressure foot tension right now because my foot is at as high as it will go on the shaft, and I wasn't able to move it around, but now I can.
It doesn't even look like it's on there.
You put the presser foot down.
Yep. And then
And then
if it's
adjust your tension
pinching,
on top.
then
Okay.
I righty tighty. You can make much larger swooping adjustments with this than you can like on the tension dial. So I'm in a Zoom class with this gal during COVID, and it was the lunch break, and she goes, I have some accessories here. It was in my mom's case. I have no idea what's in here. Will you tell me what these are? So she starts, oh, that's the ruffler. Oh, that's the adjustable hemmer. Was it you in that?
No.
Okay, so Becky King and and Sandy remind me a lot of each other, so it had to be Becky King. Becky King, with their camera muted on the Zoom class, starts going, like she starts screaming and making these like gregarious hand motions because both of us are like, that's a penguin. You have a penguin.
A
We got
what?
to be the ones that told her what she had.
What's a penguin?
That's the
That's the little walking foot that does this.
that looks like a little penguin walking, and it's
It's very rare and it's very
Marianne has one here.
Very rare and very
You have one?
Expensive.
May I see it?
good thing to have.
I've never
Yeah.
seen one in like it's in the real life.
Yeah, you should bring it over here.
So
Got both the
yeah,
twins
they're
again.
Just before COVID, grand. After COVID, name your price. Okay, so I just brought up my bobbin thread again. Oh, and what I'm going to do is pull all of this under like that. Okay, so I'm going to line up on the line. And then use, now you can't really use the ruler on the left side of the ruler because the thumb screw is there. So it's front and right. Okay? So I'm going to use this.
Will that corner fold down? Okay, so it's black. Yeah. I don't know if it would, but I could. Okay. Thank you. Oh, look at that.
So now, let me just give you the virtue of this right off the bat. When you are quilting with your walking foot, doing straight line quilting, every time you make a change in direction, you have to roll the bulk of the fabric through the neck of the machine, which is very physically challenging, especially if you're working on a bigger project in a tiny little neck. Now, with the ruler foot and the ruler, you can move it around by moving the fabric left, right, sideways, diagonally without having to move the bulk of the fabric around in the neck of the machine, because technically you're in free motion.
Oh, that's
that is
cool.
awesome.
Needle down, always have to.
I love ruler work.
Ruler work is as close to the quality of a long arm as you can get.
Wait, are you going backwards without putting it in reverse?
Yeah, because I'm in free motion, so everything is shifting. I'm not pushing, I'm simply using the ruler as a guide to slide the fabric.
Wow. Look at how cool my sister is.
Here is the infamous penguin.
Nope, it's right here. Hold on. Let me.
So I think the price point has gotten up to about $2,500.
Okay, I've always wanted to see one.
Isn't this cool? Now, just so in case anybody owns one of these, this is a pretty important piece. I saw a lady buy one time, and
Well, now it's out of the shot.
the set screw was missing. That's a problem. They don't make them anymore. You cannot buy them on eBay. It is not. And notice how it's long. That's how it attaches to the machine. Can I put it on my machine? Do you mind? And the other thing that you should know is that there are oil points on this foot. So when I first got my penguin foot a couple years ago, it was kind of stuck. The lever would get stuck in the down position, and then it wouldn't really advance the fabric like it should. So there is a manual in most boxes, but if you don't have the manual with your penguin walking foot, I can take a picture of the oiling holes on my manual and I'll send it to you because
So they are in there?
the oil holes are in the
I've not done anything. I've not oiled.
Everyone loves when the twins are in the same shot. Just saying. They're like, oh look, the twins in the same shot.
Okay, so
Oh wait, do that again.
she's a nerd, everybody.
Aren't we all a little bit though? I mean, we're all here with featherweight.
We're all nerds
So
about the same thing in this room. Okay, so you have to take your presser foot screw off. This slides in from the block.
Oh, that's why you need that screw.
Yeah, because this screw help.
well,
This is loose. I'm not going to put this on.
I'll show you in a second.
This is loose. I'm not going to put this on. Oh, I see what the problem is. Okay, anyway, it loads in from behind and honestly works amazingly well as a tool. Yeah, I don't know if it's $2,500 well, but it works really well.
Yeah.
All right. So that kind of concludes my demo for machine quilting. I want to thank you guys for tuning in.
wanna show
We
it?
missed you at Quilt Camp. Our tribe that isn't able to be here.
Yes.
What she did.
It's still a lot of money, no matter what.
So yeah.
But it comes with a lot of